I mix in an industry with very young people, very trendy people, eclectic people. I dress to feel comfortable. I don't dress to feel young.
Welcome to Off the Hanger, the fashion podcast where we delve deep into our guests' wardrobes, finding out their favourite fashion pieces and the stories behind them. This week's guest is Liz Taylor. She's the CEO of Taylor Lynn Corporation and also runs Liz Taylor Consultancy. She works in events and is an absolute unapologetic powerhouse of a woman with the most incredible wardrobe. I adored chatting to Liz. I really hope you enjoy this episode too and you take some little fabulous nuggets of advice from Liz's incredible story. I hope you enjoy this episode. Liz, thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat to us on Off the Hanger. I'm really looking forward to talking to you about your wardrobe and your personal style, but I'm also really looking forward to hearing more about what you do.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, and my personal style has changed obviously very much over the years and has been really influenced by what I do. And I'm a bit of a liquor label, so I'll share a few secrets with you.
And you've got quite a history with fashion, haven't you? You did used to work in fashion retail.
I did. So I currently run an events management company called the Taylor Lynn Corporation. I established it in 1986 and it's been my drive, it's been my passion. During lockdown, obviously when there was nothing going on, I set up a consultancy business to the hospitality industry and I started my own podcast called Events That Made Me and I wrote a book. So it's sort of a whole wide genre of thing. But when I left school at 18, I didn't want to go to university. I wasn't academic. I was very pressured by my parents. And so I went and joined Marks and Spencer's and did the management training scheme. At that time, all those years ago, it was like a university degree. And it gave me access on a CV. It got you in everywhere. And it gave me the groundings, certainly the administrative and organisation skills that I had that I was able to develop. And then from there, I spent 2 years with them, but I didn't want to travel all over the country. I went to work for various fashion. I mean, you probably won't remember, you're too young, but I opened Topshop in Manchester. I worked for Lady at Lord John. I worked for a private company called Crocodile, that was a very, very upmarket designer chain, which was national. And I opened them and I ran them and I did all sorts of stuff. It was really been like in a big family. And then I ended up with Sterling Cooper. So I had a really great experience from sort of what was then not the bottom end, but available to everybody, to the top end of Crocodile, where Lady Diana used to shop in the Bond Street store when she was single. So it was all that, and I loved fashion. And for me, part of my job is getting up in the morning, going on the treadmill for half an hour, getting dressed, putting my makeup on, and being that person. And what I wear is how I feel. And I think that's really with everybody. How you look is how you feel, and it determines your day. And I have made some bloody stupid purchases in my time, but they're still hanging in my wardrobe. I say I've got 2 daughters, one who lives in America and one who lives in London. They're late 30s and they're married they've both got children. And I think that when I pop my clogs and go to God's Hotel, they'll be up here like shit off a shovel, rummaging through the Chanel to see what they can buy. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to hear about some of these pieces. So did you love fashion as a child? Is that what led you into retail?
Yeah, my mum always tells me a story that when I was about 7, there was a shop in Wilmslow. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a children's clothes shop. And she took me to buy something. And I chose a black corduroy zip-up sleeveless dress with a jumper underneath. And she could never understand why I wanted black, but she let me have it. And from that age, I was very young and I was very specific in what I wanted to wear. And I did indeed wear black for many years. You have to really read the book to find out the whole story. I had jet black hair and I had this whole jet black persona, big shoulders, Alexis Colby, here she is in the room. And then when my marriage broke up, my third marriage in 2000, and I was divorced in 2017. I had, this sounds like a whole therapy session, but I had therapy and it changed me completely. And I became much softer. And I decided I was going to be a little bit like Miranda Priestley, who I adore. And the girls take the mickey out of me at work, because I've got that whole, she's in the room, but much softer. And I wear, I've got beige on today, and I wear softer colours. And I always said, and I've always said, and I'm still single, and I shall remain so, Emma, that you can always tell a man by his teeth and his shoes. And I've always been of the opinion, I have a little room with 4 shelves of shoes and 4 shelves of bags. And I always believe that the accessories actually create the look. So I'm now quite, it sounds very pretentious, but I don't mean it to be. But I love H&M. I love sort of buying stuff, and they do some amazing stuff. So I love mixing and matching. And in the meantime, I've got 15 Chanel jackets that are probably worth, £200,000 in there that I don't wear anymore, but I'll never get rid of because they're pieces. So I've enjoyed buying, I've enjoyed dressing, and I just feel it's very much, it's your person, it's one's personality.
And I think it is so interesting, the colour black. I think for so many people, it is a safety net of, if I just wear black, I'll blend into the background and no one will notice me and I don't have to speak out. And for other people, it's a real confidence colour of, I look and feel powerful and, I don't want to say masculine, but strong in black and a really structured silhouette. And I think it's a really interesting one of how people approach that colour in their wardrobe, as whether they're using it to hide or whether they're using it to stand out. And I think from what you said, maybe at times you were doing it for a little bit of both.
I think for me, we all have our insecurities. We all have imposter syndrome, all of us. And I think for me, it made me feel powerful. I had the black Prada handbag, I had the black suit. I don't know if I've got time to tell you this story, but it's a very funny story.
Oh, always.
You can edit it if you want. I was pitching for a birthday party in the Isle of Man, and the client was John Whittaker. And John Whittaker built and owns the Trafford Centre, Wigan Pier. He's huge, huge, and very intimidating. And he owns Liverpool Airport. And the story's in the book. I can't go into the whole story. So I had this black Italian Piazza Sempione suit on. Cost me a lot of money. And off I toddled. And I went and we sat and we had lunch, and it was all, there were quite a few people there. And at the end of the lunch, we went into this other room, he and I, to negotiate terms. Now, I'm dealing here with what can only be described as an oligarch, a very understated, very quiet, unassuming man, but who has more power in the property industry than anybody. And I sat on the sofa, and this dog jumped on my Piazza Zampione suit and molted. And you can imagine, I'm like looking, and it had cost me hundreds of pounds. And I thought, oh no. And he turned around to me and he said to me, I gave him a figure of what I wanted, and he tried to negotiate, and I said, it's non-negotiable. And you can imagine I'm dying inside. This is, and he looked at me and he said to me, my dog's never taken to anybody like he's taken to you. He said, so you've got the job, girl. And that was the story of the Piazza Sempione suit. And you know what? Every piece of clothing has really a story for me, which I think, when I look at some of the photographs now, I bought that, I went to Buckingham Palace. I was invited to the Queen's garden party, and I bought myself a Philip Treacy hat, and the Queen had the same hat on. So I've kept it. It was 100 years ago. So it's quite nice, yeah. Fashion, I am a fashion victim, but fashion speaks 1,000 words.
It really does. It really does. And also from that story, can I just say, dogs are just the best judge of character. If my dog likes someone, then I'm like, yeah, you must be okay. But if my dog takes a dislike to somebody, then I'm like, no, I'm not for you. You could be somebody I've known for years, but if my dog doesn't like you, I instantly don't trust you anymore.
Well, there you go.
So you sound like you've got an incredible collection of things in your wardrobe. What is the oldest thing you've got?
Oh, you'd be bitterly disappointed when I tell you.
Oh, I will not. Tell me. I'm excited.
I've had for 43 years a T-shirt from Joseph, which I now wear. I kid you not, I wear every night as a pajama. It's full of holes and it's ripped. And I don't know why I've kept it. I don't know, but I can't. And one of my daughters said, "Can I have it?" And I said no. Um, and it's just something. I don't know. It's the oldest thing in my wardrobe, but I do have things. I'm a magpie. I keep everything. I've got shoes that I've had for years and years. So I have spent a lot of money over the years, but I've kept everything. But the first thing I bought myself with the first dividend that I ever took was a Rolex watch. And I came from a very privileged background. My father was a judge. I was privately educated. But as you will read in the story, and I have to just give us a plug here, it's called Tailor Made. I had a very troubled upbringing because he was a bully. So I wasn't indulged at all. So I went out at 14. My first job was working in a ladies' clothes shop called Emma Somerset. And then they used to dress sort of all the posh people in Manchester. And I never realised at the beginning that all the ladies worked on a commission basis. So if anyone walked through the door, I was there. And I sort of, they reined me in a little bit, but I loved it. I loved the selling and I loved putting the pieces together. And so the selling and the clothes and the colours, the whole thing, the whole people thing. But I always swore I wanted a Rolex watch, and the first dividend I got, and it's actually for my eldest grandchild when she's 18. The others can fight over the other stuff, but yeah. So and Chanel, I adore. I was invited to the show in Paris. When you get an invitation from Chanel, you know that you're deeply in the shit because you spent far too much money. But that was a long time ago. But I was invited. I was sat behind Anna Wintour, and you see Karl Lagerfeld walk up there, and it's not just about the clothes and the brand; it's about the experience. And I think that some of these, and again, when you look at some of the other brands, like the Zara's, and you look at, H&M is a great example because they bring people in and they work with them and they get, I think, I can't remember who it is at the moment that they've got, but they are influenced, and everyone and all the influencers. I did Molly May's manager's wedding, and obviously Molly was there. Well, she could have worn a flannel, and people would have gone and bought 30 million flannel. It's all very influence driven. But for me, my icon, and you may not know, is Iris Apfel, who died.
Honestly, she was forever the top of my wish list for a guest on Off the Hanger. God rest her soul, that woman was a legend. And I do not use the term lightly. She was the pinnacle for me.
Absolutely. So I was with somebody yesterday who I'm doing an event for in the summer. And it's actually for a model agency. And we were chatting, and I met him in Barbados at Christmas. And he's huge, this guy, and we're doing a very, very big event. And he said to me, what did you want to be on television? So I said, no, not at all. He said, and we were just having this chat. I said, I want to be Iris Apfel. I said, I'd like a little bit of Helen Mirren in me, but I want to be Iris Apfel. I just think she was iconic.
That's amazing. I completely agree. I always say that when I grow up, I want to be Iris Apfel.
Well, I'm first.
You first, and then I'll follow in your footsteps. We've got it sorted. So what's the piece in your wardrobe that gets the most compliments?
Well, interestingly enough, my daughter, the one who lives in America, runs a PR agency, and one of her clients is Lady Gaga. And so Katie invited me to join her last June in Las Vegas to go to the concert and meet her. And I was like, and she had on an outfit, and it was all cut away, and it was like a white, it was like an evening suit. It was a tail. It was tails, not tails, but it was the white bib and the bow tie. She had this hat on, and I just thought, I want that. So I came back, and I worked with a guy called Philip Armstrong, who's a designer, and I took this thing and I said, I want this. I said, but you can't show my arms because I'm too old and I'm not Lady Gaga, and he's made me a jumpsuit, which I wore to an event that I did recently, a charity event for St Anne's Hospice. And it was, Gary Neville was my client. So it was all celebrity driven. And I put it on. And I think, honestly, I've never felt, and nor have I ever had, so many compliments. And it was miles away from what, I would have worn a black suit and sort of paled into insignificance. But I didn't. We had big shoulders, and it's got a collar, and it's got a black bow tie, and I'll have to send you a photograph of it. So that currently is my favourite piece. I bought an amazing sequined box blazer dress from Yves Saint Laurent when my younger daughter got married, and that's 10 years ago, and I've still got that in my wardrobe. And I've just got pieces that I love, not necessarily because they remind me of anything, but because I feel good in them. But I'm a terrible hoarder. If you came here and saw it, I've got all sorts of stuff, and I bring it out and I think, God, why have I kept that? I'm going to get rid of it. And then I go, no, I'm not going to get rid of it. And I bring it back. So, yeah. So they're my two. I think they're the two pieces that come to mind. And I have some gorgeous furs. And, if for anyone anti-fur listening, I'm really sorry and forgive me. But I have a really lovely mink coat and a mink gilet, and just stuff that makes me feel good.
I think that's key, isn't it? I think that's the key. It's finding those pieces that just make you feel incredible, whether they're brand new, whether they're 10 years old, whether they're 50 years old, just having those pieces that you feel amazing in. And so it's quite clear that you like to invest in your wardrobe and you're not afraid to spend some money to get some brilliant things. What would you say is the most expensive purchase you've made for your wardrobe?
Get lost. I'm not
You don't have
telling
to tell me how much it is. We're not asking for the dirty details.
Oh, what I was just going to say to you was, actually, just before we get onto that, is that I have a rule at work. The staff are not allowed to wear blue jeans. They can wear coloured jeans, but they're not allowed to wear blue jeans. And they have to wear makeup every day. Because I had many, many years ago, somebody came into the office. I got a phone call from the Lowry Hotel, and they said, we've got a client who's looking to have a Christmas party. And we're recommending your services. Can they come and see you? And I said, yeah, but they can. I didn't really look $1 million, but we were, at the time, I always dressed nicely. But anyway, she came, and it turned out that she was the marketing director for LVMH, and her remit was all the watches and jewellery. Now, LVMH, it was like, I've died and gone to heaven, because we all, at that time, I loved all the Louis Vuitton handbags. I'm not really an LV fan at the moment, but you might have to edit that out. I might get hate mail. But it was, and I said to them, from that day, nobody comes in the office without expecting to walk into Gary Barlow or Robbie Williams, which has happened to me. These guys have walked in. So you've got to be a girl guide. You've got to be suited and booted. And I don't really care what they wear as long as they feel good. And that is hugely important. The most expensive thing I bought, I'll tell you a story. So I always wanted a Birkin bag, okay? And at the time, they were thousands and thousands of pounds. And at the time, my then husband said to me, go and get one. He never said to me, I'll get you one. He said, go and get one. Anyway, so I go into Hermes on King Street. You have to bear in mind, a lot of my clients, high net worth clients, got them in every colour. I mean, I had one client who paid £38,500 for one. So I go into Hermes, and I said, I would like to put my name down for a Birkin bag. And she said to me, well, I'm awfully sorry, but there's an 18-month waiting list. So I said, well, that's fine. I said, because if I put £10 away each week, by the time we get to the 18 months, I'll probably have enough money to buy this Birkin bag, because she was really patronising. So she reluctantly goes and gets the book and put my name down. She said, what colour do you want? I said, I want an olive green. That was on a Saturday. I kid you not, on Tuesday morning, I get a phone call. And she said, it's so-and-so, I can't tell you your name. It's so-and-so here from Hermes. She said, we've got your bag in. We've had one in an olive green, and they don't want it. I said, I can't afford it. I said, I haven't even put £10 away yet. Anyway, I bought it, but actually I sold it, and I sold it for a profit about 4 or 5 years later. And why did I sell it? First of all, it was terribly heavy, very, very heavy. And second of all, there were so many copies that you couldn't tell the
Mm-hmm.
difference. And I don't, not into copies. I think if you can't have the real thing, don't have it at all. And so I sold it, and I'm not sorry that I sold it. So that was probably at the time the most expensive thing. But I have made some stupid items. And the worst thing I bought, it was a piece of art when I was drunk in Courchevel. And I was there with, they were clients at the time, but they're now great friends. And we went out for lunch, and we were absolutely, can't tell you. And I love eclectic art. I have, there's a gallery called Eden, which is in New York and in London, in Paris, in Courchevel. And Google it because the stuff is amazing. And it's a big Hermes bag in a glass bottle. Don't ask. And I had it flown home on their private plane. That was the most expensive thing I bought. But you know what? I don't regret anything. And also, when I got divorced, and it was horrendous for me, I moved very reluctantly from a small family home, but my family home, into an apartment. And I got rid of every single thing that I had. And over the last 7 years, everything is new. So when Monkey House was being built underneath my office, I got the guy who was building the bar there to come and build a bar here. And I've got a champagne bar here, and I've got all sorts of stuff. When I wake up in the morning and I walk through and I open my wardrobe, or I walk through my apartment, every single thing makes me smile. And I think that's so important. Whatever you wear, whatever you buy, if it makes you smile, then you don't need to apologise for it.
Exactly. That is just so spot on. I think it's having those things, whether they are things you wear, whether it's things in your home, it's things that just make you happy, irrespective of what somebody else thinks. You know, somebody else might be like, well, I don't like that piece of artwork. But as long as every time you see it, you go, oh my God, I love that. That's just brilliant. That's all that matters. It's
Absolutely.
our money. We've earned our money. We should be spending it on the things that make us really happy.
Yeah, and I say that to my kids. You know, my kids went out to work at the age of 14. They worked in a coffee shop, and then they used to work for me. So they'd come and cover chairs, and they'd earn pocket money. They were indulged with love and affection, which I never was, but they were never indulged monetarily. And so now, if they buy things that are considered to be extravagant, that's their prerogative because they work for it. And I am a firm believer in that. You don't have to justify anything if you have work for it.
What is the newest addition to your wardrobe?
Trying to think. Oh God. So I was in Paris on Monday, and I wanted a pair of ankle boots that I'd seen, and again, been out for lunch, a couple of glasses of wine. So I said to my friend, I said, "You go back to the hotel. I'm going shopping," and and there's something about Paris. You know, it was like an Emily in Paris moment, but I'm not Emily. And I went into Loewe and I went into Celine, and I ended up with the coolest pair of Celine ankle boots. They're a little bit like cowboy boots, but and I'm saving them. I love my shoes. I'm absolutely a melder. I love my shoes. My daughter came home 2 weeks ago to see my mum, and she flew in overnight from New York. And she said, well, I've got to pick my luggage up. And then I said, why are you picking luggage up? You're only coming overnight. She said, I brought an empty suitcase. I said, what for? She said, for your stuff. And she went back with 3 pairs of boots and a coat. but you know what? Sharing is caring. And so she keeps telling me. So I'm a shoeaholic, and I love my bags. And yeah, so that's my newest addition. I don't buy a lot, and I don't buy regularly. But when I do, I buy what I want. So I don't, it sounds like I sit there every day. I don't, because I'm working and I work 24/7. But, if I get the urge and I think, you know what, I fancy whatever, I go and buy it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So you've said that you hang on to things. Are you very sentimental, or is it just that you just don't like to get rid of things? Is there a most sentimental piece?
No, I'm mean. Not letting no. I mean, I do take bits to sort of these secondhand places, and then I think, Why on earth did I sell that and get 30 quid for it when it cost me like 500 quid or whatever? No, and also, I mean, I've got a pair of black patent Chanel boots that I must have had for 15 years. And when Philip made me this all-in-one thing, I thought they're perfect for that, and I wore them, and they were so cool. I think a lot of these pieces are timeless. In fairness, a lot of the designer pieces are timeless. The Chanel pearls are timeless. I've got a gorgeous pearl belt that I've had for forever, and all sorts of stuff. So I'm not. I just think no. I'm not. I'm not sentimental about my clothes at all. But Um, I am unsentimental. I just, I just don't want to get rid of something in case I want to wear it again.
So it's practical. It's not a sentimentality thing. It's a practical thing. It's that there's no point in me rebuying it if I've already owned it. I'll just hang on to it.
I don't really think about it. I honestly don't think about it. I mean, sometimes I have over the years. I was a big fan of Chanel, but I can no longer spend that sort of. I mean, it's ridiculous money. And so I've probably got about, I don't know, 15, 18 jackets in my wardrobe. Well, they are collector's items, and I would be absolutely foolish to sell them. I don't wear them because I don't know why I don't wear them. Probably after this podcast, I will. You'll see me on Instagram in all these Chanel jackets. But yeah, and when I look at them, I think I enjoyed buying it. I work for it, and let it hang there. And anyone can borrow it. Come and borrow stuff. I don't care.
I love that. I love that you're quite open to having this communal wardrobe. So, what is the piece in your wardrobe you would say most sums you up?
That's a really difficult one because, so for instance, and I don't know if I'm allowed to mention brands on here, but Adanola, which is a sports brand, are clients of mine, and they live down the road, and I do bits and pieces. And he sent me some really cool leggings, and I love them. And I have a gorgeous selection of Loewe oversized jumpers and Couture Club, and I mean this one's Marks and Spencers, all sorts. I love my big sloppy sweaters. I like COS, and I was never a big COS fan, but I think their knitwear this season has been phenomenal. I'm of an age and where I mix in an industry with very young people, very trendy people, eclectic people, and my staff are in their 20s and 30s, and I'm probably old enough to be their grandma. So I'm very mindful that I don't want to look stupid, but equally, I don't want to rock up in this suit looking like I'm Miranda Priestley. So at the moment, my whole look is the Adanola leggings, big sweaty shirt. I mean, God, I bought this big furry jacket from Frame. I love Frame. I love American Vintage. I love all those brands that are ageless, really, and probably mid price range. And I'm very influenced by my kids. My younger daughter and I have exactly the same taste. The older one doesn't. She's very boho and very eclectic and got great style, whereas Katie's a little bit more like me, a bit influenced. And my sunglasses collection,
It sounds fabulous.
that's mad, yeah. So I dress to feel comfortable. I don't dress to feel young, and I just dress to feel comfortable, and I dress to have a sense of presence. Somebody said to me once, when you walk in a room, you own it. And I think that's the confidence. Now, it doesn't matter what you've got on, as long as you feel good and you've got your shoulders back, you can walk in a room and own it. And I think that's important. I did a talk for a charity last year, and it was an awards thing. And this young girl didn't win it, but it was some charity that she was involved with because she'd lost a sister. And I never forget her sitting on stage and saying, I'm just a nobody, but. And when I got up and gave the talk, I said to her, I have to just begin with this, that you are not, everybody is a somebody. Everybody, and and that, whether that's with big shoulders, whether you wear berets, whether you wear high shoes, or whether, whatever you do, be confident and be yourself, because you make that statement and you are somebody, and it's important.
It is. And I think we're all very individualistic, we're all very unique, and we should all get to embrace that side of us. It's all
Sorry,
right, don't worry.
yeah, definitely, and I do think, yeah. I mean, I look at my grandchildren. I've got two granddaughters, one of 10 and one of 7. I've got two boys as well, but they're not as. But the girls are, little, and they love the little handbags. And the 10-year-old wears my knitwear when she comes to stay with me, because they call me busy. Should I want to look like you, busy? And I had a couple of Topshop short frayed jackets that I must have bought in a mad moment. She's gone off with. So some pieces are timeless and ageless, and I think that's really important.
It is really important. I love that type of piece that, it would look great if my mother-in-law in her 70s was wearing it. It would look great if I was wearing it in my 40s. It would look great if my 20-year-old niece was wearing it. It's those pieces that just work for everybody and everybody feels good in.
Exactly.
Now, you have such an extensive wardrobe and incredible stories. I'm hoping that this next one just signs you up to be a fully fledged member of my club of wardrobe malfunctions, fashion faux pas, and all-round disasters. Do you have a story you can share?
I did a wedding a couple of years ago, and my daughter said to me, "Mum, wear a colour." Now, when we work, we all wear black. We have to wear black because we have to pale into insignificance, and we have to pretend we're not there. And I'm not one of these that walks around an event with a clipboard saying, here we are. We're very much in the background. But Goldie, my eldest daughter, she said, "Mum, should wear a colour, wear a bright colour, should own it." So off I went, and I actually went to Zara and bought this fuchsia pink jacket with these feathered sleeves. And I've not got rid of it, because when I opened the wardrobe, I laughed. I felt hideous, absolutely hideous in this thing. I felt I crossed between Liza Minnelli and Joan Rivers, but all wrong. And so never, ever again. I think probably that was the worst. And some, you look back, look, we all look back over the times. If I look back at what I wore, I'm 69 in March. If I look back at what I wore when I was 30, and think, oh my God, what made me wear that? What made possess me? But at the time I felt good, and at the time I looked good. So really, I don't have any regrets, but that was never. And it's still, do you want a pink jacket? Because you can have it.
You're still dying to palm it off on somebody.
Oh God, I can't get nothing's. And you know what? I can't bring myself to either give it away or sell it, which I don't know why, because it makes me giggle.
But that's why then. That's why, because every time you open the wardrobe and you see it, it makes you smile. And I think we said that earlier about everything else that you have. You buy these things because they make you happy. And even though in that moment it wasn't great, laughing about it afterwards still makes you happy.
Yes, exactly.
This one I am super excited about, because you've already hinted that you are a lady after my own heart and you love shoes. What are your favourite shoes? Can you pick a pair? That's the impossible question.
Well, look, obviously, like everyone my age, I used to wear heels. I had the Louboutin, I had the Prada, and I've still got them. I can't walk in them, but I've still got them because I won't let them go. I love boots. I wear boots spring, summer, autumn, winter. And I think a white jean with a really cool boot. If you hang on, I'm going to, should I just go and get you a pair?
Yes, why not?
Hold on, bear with me.
Bear with, caller.
So I spend a lot of money on my shoes. So that was the boot that I bought in Paris. I don't know if you can see it.
I love the detailing on that.
But it's so cool. And that would go with an evening suit or with a pair of jeans. And I'll keep those forever. And these I adore. And they're Loewe. Now, Loewe is one of my go-to brands. I think that the designer that they've brought in the last 2 years has really changed the brand. and I've hardly worn them because it's like having a little dog actually. You stroke. um, but so Loewe and Celine are probably my go-to at the moment. I have a lot of from the Prada collection. My shoes are designer shoes and my bags are designer bags, and I make no apology for that at all because I love them and I keep them and I wear them. And it's very interesting, when you go, if I go to a meeting or a lunch or wherever I go, um, women particularly look at you from the foot up. Always. We're all guilty of it. But someone will walk in the room and they'll sort of go like that, oh, hi. But they've seen the shoe and they've seen the bag and now they see the person. And yeah, it's very interesting. But for me, that's my thing.
But I love that blend because you've obviously said you like Zara, you like H&M, you're mixing the high street in with those premium pieces. And I think that's what
I love
creates a great look.
the H&M knitwear is very difficult to beat. If you go at the beginning of the season, some of the cashmere that they do, and you can wash it in the machine and it's drying, and some of it is really brilliant. So I do mix the high street sort of.
Thank you so much for being such a brilliant guest. I've really loved chatting with you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you liked that episode, please recommend Off the Hanger to a friend. And if you could possibly like, subscribe, leave a rating or a comment or follow or any of the things that I'm supposed to ask you to do, it would be much appreciated.